Good morning. We'll get started. Roll call, please, Jen.
Mike Dawson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitor,
Here.
Carol Langford, Danielle Matt. Here. Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Yeah.
Martin Charlo, Len Tucci, Lenny Strahan.
Thank you, Jen. Jimmy, will you give us a prayer this morning?
Ambulance coming soon. Grandfather, we call on you today to join us as we do our work for our people. And we have our people in mind in everything that we do today. We have a lot of issues going on that need to be fixed or tried to work on. Our people it's becoming winter time. We need to make sure that everybody's safe, everybody's covered for the winter. Ask you to watch over all our people that are traveling today on these highways, and just watch over everybody. Watch over our elders, our children. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Jimmy. We do have minutes from the 15th, October 15th. Take a look at those.
It is.
Hey, good morning. Morning, everybody.
Got my appointment for you till next one.
Thank
That's right.
you.
You gotta work it for me. Like, going up there every day.
So, taking off the agenda.
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead, Martin.
On page 2 of 6 on the medicine tree update, can we add, Lands crew after Richard? Or maybe just start off with CSKT Lands, Bob Woodcock.
Thank you, Martin.
And then, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
if it's all right, I was gonna send Abby a list of kind of thank yous for the Bear Tracks Bridge celebration.
Oh,
For
definitely.
council.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would make a motion to approve October 15th council minutes with any additions or changes or corrections.
A motion by Tom to accept the minutes. Second by Martin. Any other corrections? All in favor? Unanimous. We do have an agenda today. I see we have 3 walk-ins. Any other additions? And I see that Lance has been taken off at the end of the day.
Yes, and I added Daryl Artist there.
Daryl Artist will be at the end of the day. I didn't. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, just a question with lands being removed. Is there going to be an opportunity for the tribes to consider the State Department of Highways land next to the highway down north of town here, where their auction that closes here?
Don't know what that will be. We'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Motion by Tom to accept the agenda with the additions. Second by Len. All in favor? Unanimous. We'll go to our first walk and then Michelle, come on up. Morning.
Morning, Chairman, Council. I'm here to request change of duty station for all CSKT employees tomorrow to join me in a community-led search for Danette Tennis. I've been working with Danielle. I have also been working with Craig and Dan McClure. I've had conversations with Jesse, who works under Dan McClure so far, and obviously Dana, her sister. Danette's my friend, and Dana is my friend. So I contacted Scott Johnston, and he was able to get me between 40 and 50 vests and 14 radios for tomorrow. Pete Gillard's printing out maps for me. Christy Bachman has offered to feed us, and so I'm reaching out to her to ask for that. That's from 9 Pipes. Craig gave us some really good advice through Patty. Patty's been helping me as well. Dan also gave me advice when we get there tomorrow. And I would like to send out to everyone email that says you have to be 18 or older to participate, that you're taking this risk on your own, that you have to be physically able to do this. And then to meet out at the base camp at Dana's camper at 9 o'clock and stay out there till 5 o'clock. And I would also post it on my personal Facebook page.
Any comments? Thoughts? Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really appreciate your efforts, and I can fully understand, well, I can't understand what family's going on and close friends, but how you're feeling about it. But and I appreciate the enthusiasm for a change of duty station. I know you're going to ask for them signing a waiver.
Yeah. I don't know about a waiver. I just thought if I put it out there that they're
Yeah,
participating
just
on their own.
So it's some of the river environment, especially it's going to be raining tomorrow.
Yep.
There's going to be people falling down if they're walking. But a lot of people in if their job duties don't have that kind of activity in it. So I guess my only concern would be if someone does get injured and their supervisor does grant them a change of duty station, if they could just check to make sure their PD might cover their if they get in an accident or something happens to them.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, I think it's if supervisor can get by with folks going, certainly can help with what's going on there. So that would be my only consideration. Because a lot of times the workman comp insurance won't cover it.
Yeah.
If someone gets injured.
Okay.
Go ahead, Carol.
This is so important to so many. I'm just wondering why they wouldn't take leave. It's a hard discussion to have. But if it means anything to you, you would just do it. I think that's what we ask employees to do. To step up and help us out. Take 8 hours, take 12 hours, or whatever it takes. They don't even need to do that. I mean, just take time off. And then it wouldn't affect our insurance. And injury could easily happen out there with rain. Just thinking, I think people would be, if we'd ask them, they'd probably do it.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I appreciate your comment, Carol, but even for someone like myself who's had COVID 11 times, we might not have that leave. And I need to do this.
Other comments? James?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I support the request.
Danielle?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think we need to do this, and I would make the motion for the change of duty for tomorrow for all staff with supervisor approval from 9 to 5.
Got a motion by Danielle, grant. That, second by Jimmy, to grant change of duty with the supervisor. Okay, and, from 9 till 5. What they ask is,
I guess we'd say 8:30 to 5:30 because there's gonna have to get out there by 9, so,
Yeah.
8:30 to 5:30.
yeah.
Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just being out there the few days, it's a lot. I would advise a later start if the last day they went out at 10, just because it's so cold out there. And with the moisture in the air, it's gonna be even colder. Just again, for safety, gives people time to travel. Yeah, being out there by 9 it's gonna be, I would just advise a later start. And talk to Lisa Shords. She and a few other people were the main ones out there, Sharon Earthboy. And they're the ones that were doing the later start on it. That's my advice.
Okay.
Any other comments? We have a motion with a second. All in favor? Carol? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Ken? Camel? Come on up. Good morning. Just push the button by the microphone there, please.
I wanted to like to say I'm working on something that's been quite a summer. I'm working on recognizing the tribal athletes. Right now, I'm working on getting Bobby Camel inducted into the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. You should have already been there. Marvin Camel's in there, J.R. Camel's in there. But he has contributed, quite a bit to this community and to the state. His awards and his records stand tall amongst the athletes of the state. I just needed a reference letter. I got one from Terry Pitts. He's an athlete. He was a coach there in Arlee. Bobby was the assistant coach. I contacted and talked to Martin Charlo about getting a reference letter. I'd like to get that so we could, I can submit his application for that distinguished award. And I think we need to have more tribal members from this side of the state. I always see a lot of tribal members from the east part of the state being inducted into the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. And as I wrap it up, I want to talk to you about Marvin Camel being inducted into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. We had an opportunity, me, Sherry, Mervin, Louis, and Mervin's wife went to the event. It was quite an event. It was, Marvin covered the cost for all of it because he wanted his family to be there. There was over 20 world champions there. Marvin was included. And he had a distinction, and I heard it loud and clear. They said the first Native American is to be inducted into the Nevada Hall of Fame is Marvin Camel. And that, I think, should have been resonated across the state. KPA Exports had talked about going down there, but it just turns out Donald Trump showed up too. It was in Great Falls or Billings there. So they had to allocate all their resources to go cover that event. But what I'm trying to do now, I'm working with my sister Helen, trying to get some sort of event to sit there and acknowledge that induction into the boxing capital of the world of Nevada. And with that, I kind of wrap it up. And like I said, I'm asking not for nothing. I'm just telling you what a summer it was for me. And I also got inducted into the the Ronan Chiefs 50th anniversary since their state championship 50 years ago. And that was quite an event to be able to say, yes, 50 years ago, we won the state championship. And with that, I'd like to conclude that Marvin said that he said, tell him that I love him, tell him I'm still here, because you heard about the hurricane in Florida, right? Guess who was right in the path of the hurricane? Traverse, Florida. So I'm on the phone with Marvin Camel, and the storm's cooking up outside, and he says, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna ride it out. I've seen a lot of bull riders riding in the rodeos, but I said, I don't think I'd want to be in a hurricane trying to ride it out. But he made it through. Minus a little flooding in his neighborhood. His neighbors had a couple of problems with their houses, but he survived with minimal damage. So he's still out there, he's still cooking, but that sounds like Marvin Camel. It says, I ain't going nowhere. I said, Marvin. But that's his choice. I just said I'll pray for him, and it seems that it worked. So, but that's just like I said, I'd like to talk with you, Martin, about getting that letter so I can send it off. And I think there's more athletes around here that need to be recognized for their accomplishments on and off the field. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, Ken. Go ahead, Martin.
Ken, thank you for coming in. You know, Bobby's a great athlete, probably a better man. And so, yeah, I would actually try to do a letter of support and maybe have the chairman sign it and be from council and not just me. I think that would probably speak volumes to the organizers of that. So I would definitely, with consensus or whatever, with council,
Consensus, yeah.
get some, it's more information just on, you know, the stuff you have on Bobby, and we can get that there. So
Is there any objection to that? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Kenny, of course, thank you for coming in. And I'd always said this many times, you know, I thought Bobby might have been the best athlete in your family, hands down.
I agree.
And so, you know, watching him and all he did was the triple jump to basketball and our secret weapon in football, just incredible athlete. His vertical jump was surpassed by nobody. So I concur completely. I'd certainly help Martin with that letter. And I agree that, you know, we are underrepresented in the Hall of Fame for Native Americans in Montana. So yeah, we really need to look at that and see what we can do. But again, congratulations on the Hall of Fame for the football team.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just wonderful to recognize that all the time. We're trying to bring in all the state champions every year, every time they win something here in our community, to bring them before council. And so I think it's great to do that. It's great to codify people's accomplishments and celebrate it. And so thank you for bringing it forward.
Yep. And just like I said, Bobby's one of those guys that would be the last guy to beat his drum. But, you know, I said that to him. Bobby, you were the best athlete of the family. Versatile. That's the key word there, is versatility, right?
Go ahead, Tom.
Because
I remember one time Joe grabbed a bunch of us one summer to go to the state track and field Olympics in Missoula. I don't know if you were there, if you went down to that or not, but we grabbed Bobby out at your mom's place and headed down to Missoula to the field house. And he had a handful of us, I can't remember, but Bobby forgot his shoes. And he ran the 440 barefoot with his just socks on. And I still remember he ended up winning it. He won state. But I still remember I could hear this noise coming around the track. I was right at the end when I'd be towards, I heard this whop, 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 whop. And his tube socks got really long. And when he was running, they were flapping back on his thigh, on the back of his leg. It was cooler and it was so cool. He's just flying down there with his socks coming off. It was cool.
That's it, because like I said, we have to sit there and let the guys know that, yeah. And I'm sure there's Indians on the other side of the state, boxers that would love to know about Marvin Camel, right? They're starting to pick up their boxing teams and stuff like that. And again, I know there's a lot of stuff going on this reservation, and God willing that we're being watched. Thank you very much, and
Ken?
I say we'll get with you. You said you needed something?
Just give me the,
I got a pamphlet that
yeah,
says all of his
give me that.
awards. All right, so
Ken?
Lemlems,
Ken? And definitely let us know about the event for Marvin. Definitely tell us what you get together.
say that again?
You were talking about an event that you were gonna
Yeah,
plan for
there you
Marvin.
go. I mean,
Definitely keep us in the loop.
cause I'm gonna shut up.
Thank you, Ken. L&O, come on up.
And this will be executive?
We going into executive?
Yes.
Out of regular into executive. Morning, Craig. Morning,
Good morning. Morning, everybody.
everybody.
So Martin had asked me to come in and give an update.
The 5-minute break. 5-minute break. Good morning. What we got?
Good morning. Find myself in front of council once again. I would like to address our home up in the Big Draw. I've seen 2 different bids on our place through the ARPA. I feel I shouldn't have to come in here and beg to get our home done. A lot of things have happened that was beyond our control. And I don't appreciate being told, no, they're not going to do our home. Really? I want transparency here. I would like our home to be fixed up. It's coming on winter. Our roof wasn't even supposed to hold up last winter. Lucky it did. We are lucky it did. I feel I shouldn't have to come in here and beg to get our home done. It's going on, what, 3 years? Really? And being told from the ARPA team, oh no, that's too much, that's too much. Somebody's lying. I've seen a bid, 2 bids. No, somebody's lying. I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. And I won't let Leonard take over because I don't want to say anything I won't be able to take back.
Good morning, Chairman, members of council. It's good to see you guys again. One of the things I'm concerned about with fixing this home, regardless of the price, is we're talking about a house that is run off propane out there, and that floor needs to be replaced. You don't want to be waiting until the floor moves where it's at and your refrigerator or your stove cracks the line. you won't have a home to fix anymore. Your pilot lights are on, you don't want that leak. I think it's important that, this place gets fixed. Sandra said it's been 3 years. There's absolutely no reason to wait 3 years to get something like this fixed. That any one of you living in a home that has propane would definitely be worried about a crack in your line hooked to your appliances. When it comes to the safety of people, money shouldn't be a factor. Because we know money's always gonna be, they'll lead someplace else. It's hard to sit here over the years, most of you know that I sit in council, how our membership's treated. There's a few families and members out there that gets help over others. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, they should. But that should apply to every single tribal member that comes in here. When tribal members come in here, it's the last straw for them. They don't know where to go. But they still need help. And the programs that this organization runs sure has strings attached to it. But that's where you guys come in as a council and try to find hard dollars if your contracts and compacts has too many strings attached where you can't help. And so the question I have is, what is too much to replace a floor that might in the future crack these lines that are hooked to the propane? What price are we going to pay? What price are we going to pay as an organization and membership when someone like this gets hurt, not knowing that it's cracked in there? They may be sleeping and the floor starts to give way more than it already has. We can put money over the safety of people. I think it's important that the system that we run under we need to have a new system. And the health of the membership is one of the most important things that you guys have to look at as a whole. And when you guys look at this new system that I talk about, is that as a council, you got to bring that forward to your department heads, tribal health, or whatever it may be, housing or maintenance, and start changing those strings and make those strings shorter that comes down through the federal government. We keep saying we're sovereign, but we don't fight it on the end we need to be fighting. I know each and every one of you know people that are struggling right now, for whatever reason it may be, whether it's self-imposed or by just the world we live in today, that you guys can't keep saying we don't have the money. When you have different bids coming in, and your department head comes in and says that's too much money. Okay, what are they looking at? What do they tell you guys when they come in and say it's too much? The top dollar, quality. Quality should be the first thing you look for. When you pay for something, you want quality work. You buy a car, you want a car that doesn't break down on the way home. And you apply that all across the board with healthcare and everything else. You can't keep shutting the door on your membership, and that's what you're doing. Membership they need to come first. My biggest worry about this house is because it's run on propane, we don't want to come to the point where that house blows up when somebody's sleeping or there's even no one home. It shouldn't come to that point, and it will, because this house runs on propane. Your main concern as council is the health of well-being of your tribal members. Sandra talked to me about the price, and some of the prices now, sure, they're a little high, but that's the economy we're in. We're playing a catch-up game because of COVID. And then sure, there's contractors out there that bid a little higher than they should. Yeah, you got to look at that. But when your department heads come in, the people that look this over, you got to ask those questions. You know, how good is this contractor? The other thing that this council needs to work on, and I've talked to Leonard Two Teeth here, is that you guys don't have enough inspectors. I can show you shoddy work that's been done over the last couple of years that we're throwing good money out of a situation that we should only have to fix it once, not 2-3 times in a row. And again, we come down to money. Well, we don't have money for inspectors. You can have an inspector that isn't really professional at any one thing as far as home ownership goes. But common sense will tell you things are wrong. These contractors aren't being looked at enough. And some contractors are just being totally left out, and why? That's what I want to know, and that's what you need to ask. There should be 4 or 5 questions coming out of each and one of you every time something like Sandra comes up. A home needs to be fixed. You got federal funds right now, but then you're denying people. We all need help out there. You guys know it. So telling her that, you know, she's going to have to wait another 3 years, I mean, that just don't make sense to me. I mean, you're the leadership. It's time to lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Sandra. Any comments from council, Len?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. And once again, thank you guys for all coming in because you're absolutely right. And one of the biggest, issues that, the council's been dealing with is accountability and transparency. Making sure that our staff is, communicating with you. And I know a lot of our contractors out there are having the same issue as you all. It's just a frustrating process because when the ARPA program was first initiated, we tasked it with a program that wasn't qualified to do so, right? I mean, like you said, we needed inspectors. We don't have inspectors. And so I know they're still trying, but that makes no excuse for communicating with you all. Because I hear time and time again that they call up there and nobody answers. Nobody returns phone calls. And so you're all sitting there, especially when you are awaiting for to be paid for a project that you completed. That pays your bills, that feeds your kids, feeds your family. And when nobody's communicating with you from the staff, it's frustrating. I understand that. And so I really appreciate you all coming in and telling us, because we need to hear stuff like that so we could continue to try to correct that. It's frustrating when we hear the same issue and complaint week after week. Nothing's being done. That's the frustration about it. And but in regards to this particular project, you know what? It was my understanding that it was the council at the time that approved a lease to Mike to oversee that particular area, and we all know the significance of that area to our people.
So I think at some point in time, the council have to step up and not just depending on this ARPA program, but finding hard tribal dollars to try to help maintain the residents. I know in the lease, it states that the lessee is responsible for all of the, excuse me, for all of the maintenance, but still, there comes a time, especially with this, property, it's unique. We have no electricity right out there. We understand he's gonna need help. He can't cover it all on his own. And, I strongly support that we need to try to find some, other resources other than this ARPA to try to help you guys out. Because, that, now I understand the significance and we definitely need to help you guys out. So once again, thank you guys all for coming in and we need to continue to try to, make sure that our staff is transparent to you all, because it's not fair to you guys. It's not. And if it continues, I expect you to keep coming in and telling us, calling us. I expect that. Expect no less. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Carol?
I think the reason why nobody's calling people back is because they're all on leave. Sorry. But I would like to see the group sit down, all of them, not just one side or not just the other side. Let's sit down and hash it out, figure out what's going on. I know in these situations, that program replaces homes rather than putting that much money. And I don't even know if the bid that I seen, 190,000 is a lot of money. That can buy a new home. You know that, I know that. So, but I don't even know if it's the accurate bid. So why don't we have them sit down, if that's the option we go, because of the significance of the place? Yeah. But then they're gonna say there's a cultural thing. Well, Lands has a file about this thick of the money that they put into that place. So we can bring all these parties together and try to figure out what is the best option. Is it rebuilding this house? And what I understand, I've been kind of following this. I understand that this isn't where the cultural significance part is. It's somewhere else. I don't even know if that's true. So if we want all the details, we need to have everybody at the table and go through it, figure out exactly what we need to do. And if it is the cultural area that we need to protect, well, we need to bite the bullet. But if it's not, we need to figure out something for Mike and move on before something bad does happen, like Leonard says, he gets blown up. And then I know, Sandra, you don't live there, do you? You have a house in Elmo? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Jimmy?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I hear what Carol's saying. You know, we talk about what this program was supposed to do for our people. And this one issue here, it's been 3 years going on and it's nothing's happened. I mean, it's been that way. As a matter of fact, it was that way when Mickey, back in the days when Mickey, through all them years, you know, it's been happening for a lot of years and this place hasn't been fixed. What gives to me is we got this ARPA program that's supposed to help all our people, it's supposed to help and get everything done that we needed to do. There's very little that's been done, very little. And this same issue, these people here, it's wintertime again. What are we going to do? Are they going to go through another winter trying to fight that place? Frozen water, freezing to death. You know, it's a big issue. We just need to figure out a way to settle this one issue right now. We got other issues with people that didn't get their homes fixed like they were supposed to. It's just a mess to me. I mean, a lot of it never got done, and I don't know why. We've been at it for 3 years, almost 4 years, and it's gonna go away. It's just doesn't make any sense to me. But this one issue with this one home here needs to be fixed somehow. What are we gonna do with these people for the winter? That's my thought. Thank you.
Other comments? Go ahead.
Good morning, Councilman. My name is Daryl Artis. First time being in here. I'd like to address the ARPA program as I've put a bid on Mike Pinmill's house, and it was not near. Like what Carol said, she's probably seen different ones. Mine was way lower. And yeah, and I think it's a historical place. I think it's beautiful out there. That's something that should be kind of rehabilitated at some point. It's clearly needs some work and stuff like that. And for that issue, I think mine was significantly lower because I can do most of the work and it wasn't mostly about collecting big paycheck for it, because to me, it's a historical site. I've known it since I've been a kid. And I was never raised around here. I was raised in Plains, but just on I put a bid in June on that place. Heard back September 3rd that they said, nope, we're not going to do it. And I'm like, shouldn't take that long to hear if you're going to do it or not. I have another issues. I've heard a lot of these owners saying that they could find their own contractor. Several of them reached out to me and I've put quotes out there. And then they've got told that they needed more contractors, I guess, because I don't know if mine was high or not. They would never call me back to tell me if it was or not. Never heard nothing from them, but that's kind of the issue that I need. Just kind of what you guys are saying too, is that I would just like a call, email, or something to say, sorry, your bid was too high, or sorry, we're not going to do this. I think I've done 14 jobs for them. I have 2 out there that were, one, we were in the process of doing the flooring, and in that time that we were there was drug use. So my wife called in to tell them, which they did, and we just kind of decided not to go out there. I'm missing 3 pieces of flooring out there because of this. They know it. I also heard from the homeowner that this was a condemned place before we even started working on it, which kind of made me think, like, why are we, working on it when it was already considered condemned? And also with this place, she had a water leak. Didn't know where the water came off. I was there to do the flooring and stuff. Asked her to find a plumber, gave her the weekend. She said she would because she just had a small leak. And I said, before I do the flooring in there, could you guys get your plumbing fixed? Oh yeah, we'll do that. Never happened. Then just heard through the grapevine that inspector went out there in August. I finished hers up in May, I think. Inspector went out there in August and said, floors are all rotted out. Didn't look like you did nothing. I'm like, no, I did do it, but she had a water leak that I told her if she didn't get it fixed, it was going to ruin what I just did. Between that one and other homeowner that is disabled, has also a spring running through her foundation, but she has got clothes 2 feet high in there. We're they already had a contractor in there. She needed, and they cut her floor joist. We were trying to get it fixed, but she had so many clothes in there and we didn't want to get stuff all over. And she has like millions of cats in there, which can barely breathe in there. Asked her to clean it up. She had several kids in there that when I was there at the time, hoping that they would get cleaned up and never did. Talked to, in our meeting, we talked to them about it, ARPA, and they told us that they would contact her to see if the elder program or somebody might be able to help her clean it up. And then we could go in there and fix her joist because that joist is right underneath her shower unit, which is just unsafe. And it needs to be addressed to me quickly. Whoever the contractor was, just cut it out to put plumbing in there, which, that's like, just makes no sense. They should have boxed it out, did the right construction to it. But yeah, that's just another issue that we have never heard nothing back on, that we were supposed to get, so we could go fix it for her. I think asked her if they wanted us to clean it up, but she said that she would contact the elders. Those are just a few things.
Thank you, Mr. Artist.
Yep.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Go ahead, Leonard.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. And this just incident here with Sandra and this gentleman coming in shows you the ripple effect of what happens when you go in to try to rehab a home and don't know the full history of it. When a contractor goes in and, let's say, because we're talking about flooring at this moment and stuff, you start taking the existing floor out. Well, common sense tells you that, the floor joists are probably rotten too, because your flooring's rotten. I mean, that's just common sense. And so when you start tearing into it, there's going to be other expenditures coming up. And this gentleman finding out he's working on a condemned home, why doesn't our organization, why didn't they know that? One of the reasons is because those people need someplace to live, regardless if it's condemned or not, and they have no place to go. And the ripple effect I'm talking about, they're not just big waves, they're all at once, 20 of them right in a row. When you throw a rock in the lake, it just takes off really quick. And it gets out of hand fast. And so when you wait on these projects, they get worse. And I don't understand why parts of our organization don't find that alarming to themselves, let alone to the person that they're trying to help. Shrugging your shoulders is not the answer. Well, the guidelines say this, the guidelines say that. That's why the membership comes and talks to you. Carol mentioned that we should all sit down, this council, whatever organization of the tribes helping an individual, need to sit down and find a solution. It's not trying to find blame here, we're trying to find solution. Because these guys have to go to bed every night, they have to get up, go to work or whatever they're doing, taking care of their kids, their grandkids. So it's about solutions here. When tribal members come in, they don't look to blame anybody. They're asking for help. They're asking for a solution. And they're hard solutions. And the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get and the more expensive it's going to get. So these questions need to be asked to the people in the right departments that help them, these tribe members. Do they follow a protocol when they go into a rehab? You should understand, you start tearing a wall out for a leaking ceiling or your water's broken, your floor is going to be maybe rotten some places too. Those are add-ons that you can't avoid. And if that's not brought up, what's the contractor going to do? He's going to use what he has. Or if he mentions it, say, nope, that wasn't in the bid. But if it's maintenance or elders you know, or whoever it is, DHRD, they should know when you tear into something to remodel. I'm sure all of you guys have remodeled at home one time or another, and it's a bigger project than you thought it was. Because there's things you uncover that wasn't there, that you don't see. You know, let alone talking about water, you got mold. So then you got to handle mold. That's the ripple effect I'm talking about. And this tribal member, whether it's Sandra or anybody else, or this contractor here trying to do the right thing, say, nope, you can't. It's not in the contract. And so a contractor puts in a 10, 15% override because things have come up. He still has to get that modified in the contract. That still has to be talked out. This gentleman here is a contractor, he knows what he's doing, but if he's talking to people that aren't looking at this common sense wise, if it's your own home, they should be looking at it that they live in that house. Wouldn't they want to have it fixed right? See, they can go home after work to a nice home. What about the tribal members that aren't? That's important. We all want to live in a safe home. That's all they're asking for. Whether it's window, doors, roofs, floors, or whatever. And yes, you guys should sit down and there should be a protocol and you guys should be asking these simple questions that I'm bringing up. Are they brought up? Do they have a protocol? Because a home is a big investment, not just for this tribal member or this contractor, but for you guys who are responsible for the health and well-being of the tribal membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. Any other remarks from council? Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Mr. Artis.
One last issue, I'd like to bring up, I was in the middle of doing Les Claremont's house windows and he had some issues with his siding. He had bad siding on his unit. So he decided he would try to pay me to do his siding while I was doing his windows because you have to tear out the windows. Might as well get the siding done. In this process of me pulling his windows and doing it, he has third time cancer back again. So I kind of sent pictures to show him that the ARPA program that if they would help out with his siding. And I got denied for it. And I don't see how helping somebody out in that way when he already had bad siding. He should, you know, I think it's something that I would like to address more, I guess, with ARPA too, is just see what the reasoning was and stuff like that. But I kind of feel bad for the guy and just think that he, you know, they should help him out when it honestly was bad siding too. But he knew that they only said that they had you can only pick one thing to address with this ARPA program. When I went through the meeting with them on September 3rd, they said, well, if there's other issues within the home that is bad, then we can also help with that. And that was said point blank in our meeting. And so that's why I'm kind of pushing the issue with Les Claremont. And I don't know if you guys might be able to help anything for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming in today. We do have to get onto our schedule.
Okay.
That's one last thing, Mr. Chairman, if you will, indulge me on this is, I'd like to have an answer with Sandra Adams' house up there in the Big Draw. I know Carol mentioned that for the prices that you've seen, you can buy, you know, a new house or a modular. You know, that's a consideration that, you know, it should be looked into, offered to them, and get this over with. Like I said, we need a solution here. And you multiply Sandra's situation by 1,000 tribal members living on this reservation, adds up quick. And so the question is, you know, is it cheaper to buy a module if they're willing to take one, or fix what needs to be fixed, historically or not? And this gentleman here that's helping out another tribe member is just what I was talking about. When you tear into something, you're gonna find other problems. And this organization's got to buckle down and really start showing they care for the membership. But I would like Sandra's situation resolved within this week. Winter's coming on, it could start tomorrow, for all we know. But it can't wait another 2 months, 6 months, a year. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming in. We've heard what you've had to offer. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I guess we don't have to do that this afternoon. Morning, Monica. Come on up. Welcome. I hope things are going well. Go ahead and push the button there.
There we
you
go. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, council members. Thank you for making some time for me. I just wanted to stop in on the campaign trail, give you all an update, answer any questions, and check in and see what the current issues are with you, talk about the election as you wish, and certainly happy to talk about votes, status, all that good stuff, issues I'm hearing on the trail. But definitely wanted to get an update from all of you about where things are here. And the last time I was here, we talked about PL 280, we talked about some of the energy issues, and I am actually going to meet with the Energy EKI after this meeting, so we'll get some updates there as well, and housing issues. So happy to kind of just answer questions, get updates, and just be here and listen.
Well, thank you for that. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Monica, thank you for coming in. And again, thank you for running. Thank you for running and giving us a choice, a reasonable, solid, choice that leads our country into the future in a better way. So I want to thank you for stepping up. It takes a lot to step up and do what you're doing. And so the sacrifice you're making for all of us is tremendous. So I really want to, again, thank you for that. As I talk to people more recently about this particular election and the critical nature of what's been going on with part of the Republican, your opponent's party and Project 2025, and all those things that are encompassed in Project 2025, I think there's a tremendous ignorance within our population, all of residents of your district, congressional district, that they really don't know what's in that and what can be coming forward if there's a Republican controlled White House, Senate, and House all together. So that's a critical thing that people really need to understand about that. I don't want to say we're going to some futuristic thing like the Handmaid's Tale, but back to 1850, but it certainly is shaping up that way. A couple of things that are really concerning for me is in the pressure from DC that you could help us with are, of course, are a couple of things that are important for maintaining our water quality and our fisheries, and I tend to lean towards the fish and wildlife type stuff. But we have an issue cleaning up the Columbia Falls aluminum plant. Mm-hmm. So that's coming forward with EPA, and we feel that EPA is kind of laxed on their duties and their responsibilities to make sure that the responsible parties are going to clean that up and clean it up to 100% of our satisfaction. It should be everybody's satisfaction. And EPA has allowed the more recent polluter or current owner of the Columbia Falls aluminum plant, which is Glencore, the largest mining company in the world, and has a horrible track record of cleaning up and violating indigenous people's rights. And their track record is incredible. But they're the last operators of the Columbia Falls aluminum plant, and EPA allowed them to present their cleanup strategy for the arsenic and the cyanide leaching that's going on into the Flathead River and coming off the surface. And so it's a Superfund site by EPA. And they just basically turned it over to Glencore to provide their own remedy. And they just kind of watchdogged it from a distance. And they're about to make that decision right now on that process. And we've raised issue about it because we want them to have the confidence that what's going to happen there is going to be permanent, and we're going to remove that cyanide from the system. We're not going to do some hypothetical scientific slurry wall that's going to keep this from leaching into one of the most pristine rivers in the world, the main stem of the Flathead River, and into Flathead Lake, and jeopardize our aquatic fisheries and our treaty rights. Along with that, then, Glencore now purchased the Elk River Valley mine just across the border in Canada, north of Eureka, and it's the main water pollution coming into the Kootenai River, into the headwaters of the Columbia. And that pollution is so dramatic, it's caused fish to be deformed in Lake Kootenai, in the lower Kootenai River for 374 miles. And it's caused the total stoppage of reproduction from the burbot or lingcod that are native in the Kootenai River. And it's jeopardizing the existence again of threatened endangered species like bull trout and white sturgeon are in that river. They have the same scenario up there where Canada allowed the tech mining that owned it before Glencore to provide their own solution of remedy of how they would contain their pollution. Total collapse and failure of that. And so now we've instituted the Boundary Water Treaty Act with Canada and the International Joint Commission that is created from that treaty to step in and be a neutral party and see if the remedy is correct and come up with a good remedy if it's not, that is unbiased and not being a proponent or brought forward by the polluting agency. So the pressure for the State Department to continue with the IJC, International Joint Commission on the Elk River, is critical. So we need your support after you win to keep that going. And the same thing, the pressure with EPA on making sure that our tribe has a voice in the headwaters of the Flathead River and cleaning up the Columbia Falls aluminum plant. Those are pretty critical elements for a couple of issues we have going on right now. But I think you heard some issues just before while you were sitting here talking about housing, and we have tremendous issues with how affordable housing is. And you've heard it, your ads are right on spot. We have a lot of our members that can't afford to buy houses. And we have a lot of issues with insurance rates going up for wildfire protection. We have issues with everybody, turning their rentals into Airbnbs. I mean, that phenomenon has been going on for 3 years, 4 years. And so there's no rentals. The rental prices are extreme. And so affordable housing is a critical thing for us, especially here. So that's pretty important. Thank you.
Sure. No small list. Great. Is interesting. Just one quick follow-up. So the IJC is housed under the State Department?
The International Joint Commission is no, the State Department gets involved because in order to engage the International Joint Commission, both the State Department for the United States and Global Affairs, its counterpart in Canada, both have to recommend, they call it a reference. They recommend both governments at the same time that we engage the treaty and engage the Joint Commission. So that continued pressure and hopefully a good outcome from the IJC will happen.
Is there anyone from the Pacific Northwest, the congressional delegations, Senate or House side, who is active or taking a leadership role or anyone from the
Senator
tribe?
Hester was somewhat involved and helped to put the pressure on President Biden and Trudeau to come forward as leaders of the two countries to engage the Boundary Water Treaty Act.
Is Secretary Holland involved at all?
No,
Okay.
it's their own separate entity. I mean,
Right.
and so
Okay.
they've created a subset. So here's what's really one of the great outcomes, if there was any, is that the International Joint Commission for the very first time has allowed tribes both in Canada and the United States to be elevated as far as their presence in the solution. And they have allowed us to be representatives on what they call a subset of their commission. It's a study board, and we have representation, both Canadian tribes and United States tribes on that study board to help find a solution. So that's the very first time that we've been able to be lifted to the table and have that kind of representation on an issue like that that's international issue.
Okay. Thank you. Very helpful information. Yes, and I will look forward to being an active, engaged partner with you and advancing solutions on those issues. And the EPA involvement across the Western District has been significant in Butte and, as you know, here in Anaconda. So it's something that touches not just you, but lots of the other folks in this district. That's super helpful. Anyone else have anything that's?
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, two things. First of all, I want to say, thank you for coming in, and having an attorney in this position would be absolutely helpful. I think yourself and our Vice Chair, Tom McDonald, could fight this and argue this and probably take it all the way that it needs to go, because yeah, definitely. I was proud of him when he stood up to him, and it really got some coverage, and I'm so impressed that I don't know where Columbia Falls is at and all of this stuff, but I hope they're behind him. And the second thing is from my 7-year-old. He wants to know when the ads will come off the TV so he can watch his cartoons. So he says, Grandma, why are these people always on here? And I'm kind of tease with him and explain it to him, but no, I just appreciate, like Tom said, stepping up. You know, it takes a lot. We all know that. We're all politicians up here. So anyway, I wished I could have gotten more involved with your campaign, but I think overall, just getting out and registering people, getting their ballots, taking them to the mailbox is a lot of work. But
Yes.
you know, it's actually rewarding, because you know you're actually making a difference, because that ballot is getting in the mail. And so that's kind of where I've been at. So anyway, thank you so much, and definitely pray for you and
Thank you.
pray for good things.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Carol.
Thanks, Carol. James.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for running. Thank you for filing and giving the citizens of the district an option to the other person. Just a few things. One is I hear different people definitely concerned the government putting their nose in between a woman and a doctor. I was curious what you've been hearing on the campaign trail in that regard. You know, it's crazy to think that some of the states in the country, if a doctor has to make between the doctor and the woman a decision to abort that baby to save the mom's life, that the government, the governor, the president, and the Supreme Court have decided that they know more than a doctor and a woman does. I heard that Texas has put a law into effect that if a doctor or medical provider helps or assists, that they will be sent to prison for life. So it's also interesting to see, you know, we've had a variety of presidents over the years. Indian people have suffered under Democrat administrations and Republican administrations and have benefited immensely under both administrations. But the president that we have running, the former president we have running on the Republican side, is not a normal, average, run-of-the-mill Republican candidate for president. He has very bluntly said if you disagree with him and he gets to be president, he will send the military after you. He said it very bluntly. If you do not agree with him, he will send the military after you and make sure that you are put in jail or incarcerated, put away. He has made it very clear that he is proud of his stance on abortion. He's glad that he appointed those folks into the Supreme Court to take away the rights of our women people. I don't think our council should recognize the laws of Montana when it goes against our people, particularly our women folk. We oftentimes just adopt state law, but when it goes against the rights of our people, particularly our women, I don't think we should be recognizing that. And we should take a stand on that. To you particularly, I'm curious as to hear what you're hearing on the road in terms of, we know Montana's a red state. They'll probably vote for Trump, unfortunately. Over the weekend, I attended a West Native Voice meeting and we found out there were a couple of Native people and non-Native people that were beaten up because they were expressing their view on Trump. And, you know, the people that are not, there's Republicans out there, they don't support Trump, but they're not going to say it publicly because they'll get, you know, they're afraid for their lives because of this guy. He tells people to beat up people that don't agree with them. How is that right? And I say all that to say your opponent is a member of that party. He's publicly supported the candidate of his party and all of his policies, in my opinion, policies, views, statements, attacking people that don't agree with them. I tell you right now, I don't agree with President Trump. If his cronies and whomever want to come down my house and shoot me, kill me, go ahead. I don't care for the guy. He's not the person we should be putting into office. And I know we've got to be careful politically on things as a tribe, but me personally, I'm supporting you.
Thank you.
It's not a question. You can't support the other person when he supports a man running for a presidency that he said he sends love notes to an enemy of our tribes and our country. A country gets invaded, a peaceful country, and Trump says, I would just let Russia have their way. If Trump is willing to say that to our enemies, I just let you run over our friends and allies, what will he do to this tribe? Trump gets elected and we say we don't like Trump, he could just say that we're done away with as a tribe. I don't trust the man. Nobody should. And I'm sorry for that rambling, but my point is you're giving us an option. You're giving me an option to vote for somebody that's going to support our Constitution and the rights of our people. The right to vote. The Republican Party is attacking our people's right to vote. But sorry for rambling. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Go ahead, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Monica.
Hi, Martin.
Thanks for coming to the event last week, and yeah, again, condolences for your family's loss. And but yeah, I really appreciate you being at the event, and I think that was a good way of just showing your support to us and Indian country and everything. So thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Martin. Appreciate that.
Other thoughts? We have lots of issues, Monica, but Jennifer.
Thank you for coming here. It always means a lot to the tribal council when political candidates make an appearance here. And I think that what you're doing is really hard, especially as a woman, when you have to, when you're someone who cares about the truth and you have to go toe to toe with someone who does not. And there is a huge difference between being a leader and being a politician, because someone who's a politician is going to say what they need to say for their own personal gain. But someone who's a leader has a good heart and they do the hard things because it's the right thing to do. And I think you're a leader. And thank you for coming here. And, you know, and hearing James talk about women's reproductive rights, it wasn't that long ago that Native women were forcibly sterilized. And I know people who are victims of that, who were sterilized against their will. It wasn't that long ago in American history when that happened to women of color. So protecting women's rights over their bodies is extremely important. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for giving me the mic again. Monica, again, condolences. That's, again, another tough test of, your endurance and strength of your family. I think a lot of people don't know that, you're such a local. I mean, you grew up in Indian country, and when you ran last time, your whole platform was so recognized and so inclusive of our issues. So, I'm not going to bring up a lot of things because I already know where you're at, and I know how you support us and everything we have, from our issues with our law enforcement, our court systems, our water rights, our whole compact, and all those things that you're very supportive of. I just want to, again, thank you for that. And I know once you win, you'll be a good, strong voice and partner with us. And so thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and I lost my mom 3 weeks ago, and I'm the sixth of 10, and so we gathered and told lots of stories, and in the week before she died, we had a lot of moments together, laughter and tears, as that you all know. And it was interesting to hear some of the stories from my older siblings because we lived in Ashland. I was very little, but in those moments, just talking about those stories and the memories and the moves that my family made and just, kind of a community. I think the sense of community. And I know that Tom, you also had a loss, I think, last year? And it hit me much harder than it was. I had said goodbye to my mom many times. It wasn't a surprise, but it's still much harder than I had anticipated. And I carry her with me. And the last thing that the people who were in the nursing home with her, they stopped by to say goodbye in that last week, and they said, the last thing your mom said to us was, now, be sure to vote for Monica. So she was out there, championing for me and just really believed in me, and I carry that with me. But I have 4 sisters, and we talk about the aunties, and so, that is definitely a very deep, long connection that I have. My older brothers were the only 2 white people on the football team in Ashland, and so those experiences are real. They're a part of my family. They run deep. And I do understand the tensions that you have, that you need to work with the elected delegation that we have in Montana. I understand that. And I also want to be a good partner to the tribes, and there's a lot of work to be done. And so I appreciate you pointing me in the right direction in terms of here is a place where focus would actually make a difference from a congressional member. That's helpful, and I do look forward to working with you on those very specific issues. And I'm also very interested in working in the energy space. In Montana's resources are tremendous, and I know that that's been a big benefit to the tribe in terms of financial, revenues that you've gotten from the dam. And so I want to continue those relationships and understand what comes next. What does the future hold? How do we look at that together? How do we go there together? Because I think that, there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge that we need to bring to the table and work on these problems and come out ahead in the long run. So would just want to say to your point about, healthcare, it is the standard of care in Idaho right now. When a woman has a miscarriage, the standard of care is transport out of state. Think about that. A woman a family has 3 kids at home, gets pregnant, has a miscarriage, they put her on a helicopter and the family pays for it. So that's, this is real, this is what's here. I will be at the trunk or treat. I accidentally stopped by that last year and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys know how to do Halloween. So I'm going to be at that next Saturday. Is there anything else, anywhere where I can be getting the message out? The one message I want you to hear from me and my campaign is it's cast and counted votes. Cast and counted. So registrations, that part's great, but it's cast and counted. So what can we do to help? How can we make that happen? This is go time. And my race is a dead heat. Every vote counts. 6 polls have showed it is a dead heat. And I'm a 2-time Olympian. I'm not going to lose in the sprint. But I need your help.
Len and then Carol.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, and welcome, Monica. And once again, my condolences to you and your family. I just wanted to mention that our community is currently dealing with an MMIP crisis.
I know.
Okay.
I'd heard
And
that. I'm sorry.
What's really frustrating is we had this discussion before with all of the tribal leaders. There was $360 million poured in federal aid to our criminal justice system here in Montana. And we have no idea how much of that was allocated for MMIP. None. And we don't know what was set up. They're not keeping the tribes in the loop on what their plan is, especially when you have that kind of federal dollars coming in and they're not communicating with us. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, during your campaign trail, Senator John Tester took the time to stop in Elmo, and that meant a lot to the people. And so if you find yourself in the Tri-Cities area in the next couple of weeks, stop in. We're going to have a satellite voting office set up there.
Fantastic.
And I think it would be, it would mean a lot to the community if you were to show up. And
Okay, will do.
so, thank you.
Message received.
Carol?
Oh, yeah, we are having a district meeting, me and Martin, on the 30th. But yeah, my issue is the same as Len's on the MMIP individual that's missing, and we're doing a search tomorrow. I don't know, maybe if you're around, maybe you could show up there.
Where is your district meeting on October 30th?
It's right here.
Okay.
It's at 6 p.m. We feed dinner. We usually have about 20, 30 people at least.
And you have the search and rescue resources you need on the ground right now for the...
Yeah, I believe Devin McCrae is heading that up, so for Lake County, and I'm not sure who's tribal. And Martin's working a lot on that, so if you have questions, probably him.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, on funding with MMIP issues, it's been really tough. There's not a ton of money that goes into it. The state received a lot of money and they've hired positions at a state level, and they're nice people, but it's a lot of non-members dealing with a Native issue. And that task force, the idea behind it is great. Task force shouldn't have been the name because you can't do anything in that task force. You have no authority as a task force to do much. But there's no funding for it, and it's kind of a meeting to overcome jurisdictional issues with no authority to do much of anything. So all of this money is going into employing really great people, knowledgeable people. I'll give them that, but I think that money could be better used on the ground. Accesses to resources up front. It is really hard. I mean, she went missing on the 8th. 9th, Martin? 8th or 9th? 8th, okay. And just trying to pull together funds or the equipment such as, radios, vests, something that every community should, or, every reservation should have, or every county should have some sort of a place where they can go to and just grab this emergency kit that's ready to take care of these ground searches for communities. And so we're trying to find a way to get that together here. And our MMIP fund that we have here on our reservation, it's donation based only. So there's no annual money coming into any MMIP fund here. So any type of funding to assist would be great, or even a funding to get us some of that basic equipment that we need on the ground would be much appreciated in the future.
Thank you. Last time I was here, we talked about the PL 280 and the importance for having funding for tribal law enforcement and to be able to do on the ground what you need. So very the same. Thank you.
One event coming up this Saturday, and it's incredible. I didn't realize how many people go to these, but I started to go because of my kids and grandkids. But the state cross country meet is in Missoula at the University of Montana Golf Course, and there'll be literally thousands of people there. It's a huge event. So I don't know if you could set up somewhere in one of the parking lots or whatever, but it's incredible.
My daughter will be one of them.
Okay.
She runs with Gwen's daughter.
Okay.
They're on the same team.
Yeah. Okay. So you know all about it.
It is. I did not realize how many people go to these either.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Way bigger than anything else.
Yeah. It's bananas. All the buses across the state. My older brother became the bus driver for the Gardner High School team because they didn't have a bus driver, and he has 2 daughters who are at school there. So just stepping up and making things work.
The one thing, Monica, I just want to reference is that there's a citizens group concerned about the Columbia Falls aluminum plant cleanup.
Okay.
And they recently signed over 20,000 Flathead Valley residents that want to stall EPA in their decision making this fall. So I assume that is cross-party people signing, and so that's a big issue up there.
Do you know the name of that group?
They came in and presented. Jennifer, Jen, you know.
And are their interests aligned with yours?
They are, absolutely.
Okay.
They've come in and presented, yeah.
You had said that a decision is pending. Has a tribe weighed in
Yes, we've asked
independently on
them to
that?
stall, and so
Okay.
have they, so that we can have independent scientists review what EPA and Glencore is proposing.
What did that look like? Was that a legal brief or some kind of do you have representation, or what was the?
The group has their own handouts, and
Okay.
we could try to.
Okay, I can track it down to you separately, just like that.
You know, Martin, that they're.
I'll find it. Yeah, I was involved in the Butte EPA process and then the one outside of Missoula as well. So the Smurfit Stone issues that were going on there. So definitely.
Well, if I can find something, I'll email it to your campaign.
Perfect. That sounds great. Yep, I will follow up with that. And I just want to tell you thank you so much. And one of the things that my mom used to tell us was love is showing up. So I've tried to live that value and show up, and I think it's never been bad advice. You know, sometimes you show up and you don't know what to expect, and it's always been a good thing for me. So that's what I've done, and that's what I'll do, and look forward to, being a good partner to you, and 2 weeks to go. And please let me know if there are things that I should be doing, where I should be showing up, and I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thanks so much.
Zach, come on up. Did we lose Steve? Okay. Well, good morning.
Good morning. So I'm sure you guys have thought you've seen this one before already. It's the South Valley Lower Line Unit sale. What we had happen here is we had a logging company purchase it. We had a fall in the market, as we all know, from the pyramid closing, and so they ended up turning the contract back to us. That being said, we did keep their bid deposit. And then we re-advertised it, and we have a new apparent high bidder. And so what we're trying to do today is just get approval to accept this new apparent high bid. This works. There we go. So this one, same thing as before. So it's still at 16,835 tons of timber. We set minimum bids at $6 for Douglas fir Western Larch, $2 for Ponderosa pine and other species. Bidder at contracting came in at 601 and 201 respectively, for a total value of $137, $2.56 with TSI. So we're just looking for acceptance by motion for the apparent high bid.
Motion by Martin. Second by Tom, accept the apparent high bid. I like that description, the apparent high bid. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Len.
So who was the contractor that had to give up the bid?
It was Tightline Logging. We've dealt with them a lot before, just with, they did some repenciling after the stud market kind of took a dive. So this is a very stud log, so a little bit smaller diameter log sale. They just didn't think they could pencil it out to be in the green.
Okay.
So this new contractor that's taken it over, we've dealt with them before. It's the Stingers.
So we kept their bid deposit?
We kept the bid deposit from the first one, yes.
Okay. And how much is that?
5,500.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I noticed in the news that they're auctioning everything off on the 30th of October over at Pyramid.
Yeah, the pyramid stuff, it sounds like somebody bought it. A group purchased it, but what they wanted to do before they reopened was kind of revamp the entire mill, is what it sounded like. That was the last we heard.
So it might stay open or just.
It's gonna be
revamp.
an additional 4 to 5 years before they're accepting timber again. So
All right.
we're still out quite a ways going to pyramid.
All right, thank you.
Did you say 4 to 5 or 45?
425.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. And the one mill that stepped up and is kind of making this one doable for this contractor is Sun Mountain, pretty much all the way down in Deer Lodge. They're stepping in and they're buying both the timber from the upper line unit and then lower line unit as well.
Anything else? Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Morning, John, you're up.
Good morning. What I'm asking for is, or requesting, I should say, is to go into a contract with Eve Tolbert. She's worked for us for 12 years, and her services as an audiologist is very specialized. And we have a shortage of audiologists in Montana. So would like to request that we do that contract without having to go out for bids. So it'd be a single source contract. I believe it'd be very difficult to find somebody to replace her. She also is a very caring individual and is concerned about her patients. So I think we'd be doing good. The contract would be for 3 years, and she only works one day a week, so would even make it more difficult to get somebody. And she makes $54 per day, and also it'd be for 3 years, not to exceed $126,470.
Thoughts, questions? Martin, motion?
I'd make a motion and then ask Abby to keep the numbers out of the minutes, please.
Motion by Martin to accept the contract with, what was the name?
Eve Tolbert,
Stolbert?
Tolbert,
Tolbert. Second by Carol. All in favor? James?
No.
Carol? We got 2, 4, 6. Go ahead, Tom.
What's the total amount of the contract, John, for the 3 years?
$126,470.
Okay, and that's for 1 day a week each year?
No, 1 day. Yeah, 1 day a week each year, excuse me.
Okay. So 160 days of work?
That's about right. We got 8 for and 1 against. James? Motion carries. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Morning, Jody. Come on up.
Good morning.
Day.
So I am here today because the Housing Authority received a Solve It grant, which is supposed to be there's 3 phases of the grant. The first phase is they gave us $80,000 to do public outreach to understand the needs of the community. And then to do that, we are joining forces with the climate change event that SKC is hosting. And we are going to do 1 panel. And so I was going to ask for a change of duty for tribal members and it could be specific, tribal members who are responsible for their energy bills. I want their feedback. And we sent out a survey to every tribal member over the age of 18 on the reservation. And we put it in the Charcusta. And so I'm hoping now it will be in the minutes, so people could know that we need their input in order to make a program that will be designed to meet their needs for energy conservation and energy, potentially generation. So we are looking at a lot of solar ideas. And so we want to know, if their house doesn't have a good roof, they can't get panels on the roof. So we need to know that kind of information. So my first request is basically if you could put me in the minutes showing that we are trying to get this information. There's $6,100 gift cards that we are going to be sending out to the random, we're pulling the names out of a hat for every survey completion. And the first 60 that we pull are going to get $100. And then at the event, we're giving away an e-bike, and it's going to be open to everyone who's participating at the event. But if we allow our tribal members that are responsible for their bills to go and attend the meeting, they could potentially win the e-bike. But the whole point of it is to understand our grid. So Zach is going to be on our panel from Mission Valley Power. Brian Lipscomb is going to be on the panel to help us understand our generational, where we're generating money, where it's going, not money, power. And then we've asked Dale Freshour to be on the panel also, because he has done his own ground-mounted panels, I think since the 90s. And so people are going to have questions and he will be able to share his experience. And their power bill is like $40 a month during the summer times, and so it's significant, and it measures how much it's generating. So it's going to be great to show what the capabilities would be for solar in our area. And then we are hoping to apply for this other grant too, that is the community change. And it's through Mike. So Mike Durglow is going to be the one doing it, but he would subaward it to the Housing Authority, and we would be doing the program for solar panels. So, and we are also talking about changing out wood stoves for high efficiency. And that also helps with air quality too. So we have a lot going on, but today it was for getting in the minutes to promote the survey and then to allow a change of duty. Our panel is only it's for 1 hour on one day. And so I'm not asking for 2 days. And let me tell you, I think it's the 21st. She didn't write it. So the lady who's helping us, she didn't put it in there, but it was just for the SCAHA part. Okay, it is on the 21st. Our panel is from 1:15 to 2 o'clock at SKC. And then we are planning a second meeting only for our local tribal members. So this one's regional. I want to do one just for our tribal members at Two Eagle, but we don't have that planned yet. So.
Questions for Jody?
Yes, please take it so we know what everyone's needs are.
So our only action is for the request for change of duty to participate in your panel on November
21st. And so it starts at 1:15. So if they could do like a 1 to 2 o'clock change of duty.
With supervisor approval.
Of course.
Motion by Tom. I have a second. Second by James. All in favor? Glenn? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much for your support and always for your leadership. And I also will be helping tomorrow to look for Danette. It's just tragic.
Yeah, Tom has a question.
Well, I don't have a question, but I would appreciate it if thank you for entering into this this whole topic and demonstrating some leadership in this. These workshops, the climate change workshops, I always find it very difficult when they're during work weeks. And I participated as a guest speaker in the climate change workshop up in Kalispell this past spring, and it was on a Saturday, and it was well attended.
So
and so I just don't understand why we're investing in something like this when the edification should be for such a large group audience that it should be when people aren't working or the majority of the workforce is off. So if you get into the planning with whoever, whoever's doing that, Sierra or Mike, that if they could shape their climate change workshops to, weekend, Friday, Saturdays.
I'll pass that along. And when we do our Two Eagle one, we'll do it on the weekend. And that's for us, CSKT members, because that's the voices I want to hear the most. But Sierra I felt generous to let us piggyback onto their event to help bolster our engagement. All right.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Morning, Greg. Thanks, Jody.
Good morning,
We're ready,
Mr. Chairman. Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of council. So today we have two items for your consideration and approval. I've invited Bill Biarco, who's the controller, to answer any questions and walk you through and talk you through the two items. One is the presentation for a capital threshold increase, and the second is for a consideration of a framework for decision-making and policy and procedure adoption.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. We won't take up too much of your time. The first thing we'd like to talk about is the capitalization threshold, the increase. It's been increased from 5,000 to 10,000 per the CFR and CFR to CFR Part 200. And in April of 24, the OMB published in the Federal Register this change, and we are required to have a policy, which some may think is a little strange when they tell us we have to have a $10,000 threshold for our capital assets. And we have to have a policy saying that we have that. You know, normally you would just say, okay, they told us to do that and we'll do that. But so this policy is merely putting into place the $10,000 threshold for considering an asset, piece of equipment, capital asset. Anything above 10,000 would be capital asset. Now it's anything above 5,000, which the way things are going these days, it makes it kind of problematic. Just about everything becomes capital asset. So anyway, that's what this policy is about. And it was, like I said, it was published in April 22nd of 24, but it's effective October 1 of 24. So we couldn't put it into play any sooner, and here we are. It's I'm not sure what date. It's the 22nd of October, and we would like to have you approve this change and make it effective October 1 of 24. Are there any questions?
No, I'll make a motion.
Oh. Go ahead. You
Or
can.
was it Tom first? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to make the motion.
You go ahead.
I make the motion to approve the capital amount from 5,000 to 10,000, make it effective beginning of the fiscal year, October 1st of 2024.
And I take that as a second, Carol. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Thank you. Now, the next item for discussion is final approval authority for policies and procedures. For years, we've brought every policy and procedure into the council for their review and approval.
Did my changing it adjust your view? Do you see the policy in front of you? Or is it modified at all? Yeah, I want to correct that and make sure that you can see all of it.
Click OK there. I'll click there and do that. There you go.
Thank you.
And I noticed right when he did that I failed to change in the third column there the word contract to policy, so you can readily see where I pirated this format from, and I apologize for that. It'll be changed as soon as I get back to my desk. So what this is, rather than bring every accounting policy to the council for approval and implementation, we're just trying to simplify things. I know that there are a number of policies that you people, the council, probably not interested in getting involved in. For example, requirements for bank reconciliations and just routine accounting functions. Things that we have policies and procedures in place to to regulate that process. But it's not something that we think the council should be consuming their time reviewing and approving. And additionally, so you can see the different strata here. All accounting policies and all accounting procedures that standalone procedures that clarify a process, pretty routine. Bank reconciliations would be a good example. And we're suggesting that the Director of Financial Management can sign off on that and approve that policy, and we can put it into the catalog. The next line would be all accounting policies and procedures that ensure compliance with GAAP and GASB. For example, GASB 87 and 96, which has to do with leases and the right to use assets. That's an example of we're just trying to comply, just like we did with the threshold. We're required to change it to 10,000, so we'll do that. But do we need to bring it to you folks and have you folks, set aside time that certainly could be used more effectively, I'm sure. Do we need to bring it to you and ask you to review it and approve it? Probably not. And that would be the Director of Financial Management would be able to sign off on that. The next line is all tribal policies and procedures that affect the membership directly. For example, elder payments. Now that would be something that we'd take it to the next level. And the executive officer we're suggesting would be able to sign off on that. And the next level is policies that are overarching in their impact to the tribal government. For example, credit card policies, investment policies. Those would have to come to council and would have to be reviewed by council and approved by council, and it couldn't go at a lower level. Not that my director is lower level, but anyway, so that would have to come before the council. And the final one is directives from tribal council on matters other than accounting related matters. For example, a donation policy, a check signing authority, contract signature authority. Those are the things that we would have to bring to council and have you review, discuss, and approve or disapprove. Those would be the last two would be the levels of policy that we would bring to you folks to have discussions and approval. The final thing I'd like to say is, if this is approved, if this authority were approved by the council, we would maintain an accurate record of every policy that we put into play. And how did we determine that it belonged to one level or another? So that if there was ever a question, we could support our decision and bring it to before the council if there was a question. So we're not going to do this willy-nilly, and I guarantee you, and we're just trying to alleviate some of the pressure and the delay in policy approval, and take some of that pressure from council and saying, we don't have to take this to council. They've got other things to do. So that's what this whole thing's about. But we will keep track of all our decision making. So are there any questions?
Thank you for that, Bill. Questions? Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you. I appreciate some of the things are pretty simple, like the threshold for capital, no brainer, right? We should have a policy that doesn't require that to come in here. I agree with that 100%. What I would like to have is for those examples is just like that, other examples that maybe would be great. Because I'm not an accountant like you, Bill, and I appreciate all your work you've done, and you're an expert. But the other thing, I know we're gonna have a retreat coming up in, first week of November. And so when I look at the executive officer or some of this other stuff, I'm kind of wondering maybe we might be premature for approving some of this. So I would like to just put it under advisement, this particular one, and study it some more and have some more examples.
Okay,
And because I think we may have some titles change. I just don't know that yet. So I know we were putting a hold on some hiring on one branch of the functions because we are studying the reorganization and what might happen in the future. So and I appreciate this. I really appreciate you coming in with this, but I'm just not comfortable at this point in time. I wouldn't be prepared to vote on this one myself. Thank you.
When you say this one, you just mean the middle policy or
Well,
five of them?
the whole page.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I just would appreciate some more examples, Bill, if you'd had some more examples. But I'm not sure about the, when we list some positions, I'm not sure about.
Personally, I'm with you on the first two without a problem. First two. It's the third one that I think really reflects what Tom's talking about. And when it's affecting all membership, I think we want to know about it. So.
yeah.
Greg?
Would you feel comfortable changing the third one to match what number 4 and number 5 read? Keeping in mind that this can be amended and adjusted going forward, we can.
I would like that. Anybody else on council? Paul?
Mr. Chair, yeah, that might be okay. I just, it might be okay the way it is. What I really like to see is more examples, just more black and white examples, so I understand the full context of what you're talking about. So pretend I'm a third grader and, edify me a little bit more on it, to make me understand what you're asking. So.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very good.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
I hope I don't hold you up too much trying to get out of here.
You do it, Bill.
Well, we had a little shift in the agenda. Part of legal will be moved from the morning session to the afternoon session. So Melissa and Lana and Dan will be in we're scheduled at 11:30. We can take.
No, they know it's right now. They're logged on, but they
Okay.
want executive.
They want executive.
Yes.
Let's take a 5-minute break and then get them logged on. So we'll go out of regular into executive. Take 5 minutes.
The request, Mr. Chairman and council members, would be to add a legislative attorney position under the legal department organizational chart.
Motion by Martin. Second by Tom. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Got 7-4, 2 opposed, Len and James. Opposed? Carries.
Again, I'm sorry, Councilman Langford, if my response came back, but I appreciate the question. It's definitely something that the council should ask us, and appreciate it again. And we'll be back this afternoon, and I'll start with Melissa and Len will have a gaming update.
Martin?
And that'll be a 5-year contract on that, or?
I can advertise it for 2 and then run it out to 5 years. We could.
Okay, I think for recruitment, I think that's a huge thing to do, just a stable contract like that, so. I support 5.
Yeah, so we have the VAWA money till if the grant ends in May 2026, and then Patty has said that Tawahe money can come in after that.
Got a position.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we'll be back this afternoon. Didn't mean to cut into your lunch
Recess
hour.
for lunch, back at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Katie.
Can we go back into executive?
We'll go out of regular into executive.